Scene, dramatic music swell. Quick cuts of a blood-soaked altar, a young boy's face, Roman legions marching, an elephant silhouette against snow. Imagine being 9 years old and having your father place your tiny hand on a blood-soaked altar, whispering, "Never forgive them. Never forget what they took from us." Now imagine carrying that promise into adulthood, only to have the very people you swore revenge against, the mighty Roman Republic, laugh at you, mock you, dismiss you as some angry child playing at war. Well, they stopped laughing. Because when they came for my home, I came for their entire world. Music softens slightly, becomes more motivational. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or pushed aside by someone who thought they were untouchable, hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in. Because this is one of the most satisfying revenge arcs history has ever seen. And trust me, the ending? It hits hard. The setup, a promise of blood. I was 9 years old when Rome tore apart our lands in the First Punic War and humiliated my people. Carthage. My father, Hamilcar, didn't give long speeches. He didn't need to. He just took me toward a stone altar still stained with the offerings of 100 warriors. "Kneel," he ordered. My heart hammered. The air smelled like metal, like old weapons and fresh sacrifices. My father gripped my shoulder so tightly, I could feel his nails pressing into my skin. "Swear," he whispered, "that you will never be a friend to Rome." His voice wasn't loud, but it was heavy, the kind of heavy that sinks into your bones and never leaves. I pressed my palm to the altar. It was cold, and I swore. Every fiber of my being swore, and Rome had no idea what kind of fire they had just lit. Fast forward, years of training, years of rage. Growing up, every lesson, every spear throw, every strategy drill, it all circled back to one thing. Rome took everything from us. They will pay. But Rome? Rome barely remembered my family's name. And nothing fuels a revenge arc like being ignored. They expanded, devouring land like a starving wolf. They bullied smaller nations. They broke treaties when it suited them. They smiled while stabbing backs. Every time our scouts brought news of yet another Roman advance, something inside me burned hotter. This wasn't just politics. This was personal. The antagonist, Rome. The arrogant bully. You know the type. That coworker who claims your ideas were obvious. That ex who gloats about living a better life now. Multiply that energy by 1,000 armored legions. Rome strutted across the Mediterranean like it owned the place. They called us merchants, like we were lesser, soulless, soft. And then they crossed the line. They attacked Saguntum, a city we considered under our protection, and they expected us to just swallow it. Their ambassadors marched into our council chamber, looking smug, dripping with superiority. "Hand over Hannibal," they demanded, "or there will be war." That was it. That was the moment something snapped inside me, a hot crack of fury that felt almost electric. You want me? You start a war to get me? Fine. Let's have a war. Conflict escalation. He won't dare. The Roman Senate? They laughed when they heard we were preparing for battle. He won't even reach Italy, they snickered. He's just Hamilcar's boy, all bark, no bite. They thought they knew me. They thought revenge was a childish fantasy. They thought wrong, because while they were underestimating me, I was crafting one of the most insane, audacious plans anyone had ever attempted. The turning point, the plan no one saw coming. I stared at the map in my war room. Roman spies were everywhere. Every route to Rome was watched. Except one. Not a road. Not a pass. Not even land meant for travel. The Alps, a towering wall of ice and death. Everyone said it was impossible. So did my generals. One slammed his fist on the table. "It can't be done," another muttered. "The men will mutiny. The animals will die. We will freeze before we fight." I let them talk. I absorbed every doubt, every fear, every weakness in their voices. Then, quietly, I said, "Rome thinks I won't dare, so we will show them exactly how far my revenge goes." Silence. Cold, sharp silence. And then they bowed. The die was cast. The crossing, pain, loss, and unbreakable resolve. The Alps weren't mountains. They were monsters. Blizzards sliced at our skin like knives. Avalanches swallowed whole caravans. Steep ledges crumbled beneath elephant feet. Men screamed in the night, some from cold, some from terror. Every hour felt like a test designed to break us. I remember one night vividly. The wind was howling. My hands were numb, and the stars felt like distant, mocking eyes. A soldier approached me, shivering uncontrollably. "General, please, turn back. Rome isn't worth this." His lips were blue. His eyes pleaded. And for a moment, a single moment, I almost faltered. Not from fear, but from the weight of their suffering. But then I pictured the smug faces of Rome's senators, the laughter, the arrogance, the assumption that I was nothing, and my blood heated enough to melt the frost in my lungs. "No," I whispered. "We finish this. For every friend we lost, Rome will lose 10. He nodded slowly, something fierce igniting in his gaze. And step by brutal step, we conquered the unconquerable. Revenge execution. The battles that shook Rome. When we finally descended into Italy, battered but alive, Rome still wasn't worried. "They're exhausted," they said. "A single legion can handle him." I smiled. Because exhaustion? Exhaustion can be weaponized. Our first battle, the Ticinus, was a warning shot. We shredded Roman cavalry before they even realized we were at full strength. But the real revenge? That came next. Battle of the Trebia, the trap. I studied Rome's pride. I studied their impatience. On a bitter, freezing morning, I lured their army across a half-frozen river. Their men were drenched, freezing, barely able to lift their shields. And that's when we struck. From the flanks. From hiding. From every angle imaginable. The Roman commander's face, that flash of disbelief, it was everything. Like he finally realized, oh gods, we underestimated the wrong man. Battle of Lake Trasimene. Silence before the screams. Fog hugged the lake like a shroud. Rome marched blind, straight into a kill zone I had crafted with surgical precision. They never stood a chance. The battle didn't last long. But the shockwaves? They echoed through the entire empire. Rome, the unstoppable force, had just been beaten twice by the man they thought was insignificant. Cannae, the sweetest taste of vengeance. But the climax, the moment where revenge truly tasted sweet, was at Cannae. It was elegant, precise, mathematically brutal. I let them surround us. Let them think they were winning, until the trap snapped shut. My army curled around them like a tightening noose. 60,000 Romans fell. An entire Roman army gone. And somewhere in the chaos, I swear I could hear it, the ghost of my father's voice whispering, "Well done." Rome wasn't laughing anymore. They were begging, terrified, on their knees. And for the first time in my life, I felt peace. Conclusion: revenge doesn't erase the past, but it does something just as powerful. It evens the scales. Rome taught me that arrogance comes with a price. I simply delivered the invoice. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen, in history or real life? And of course, subscribe for more emotionally charged, dramatic, and insanely satisfying stories like this one.